Turn this thing on. I'm Stephanie Filardi. Welcome to Mind the Gap, the podcast. I believe many people fall short of living the life of their dreams simply because they get stuck in what I call the gap. The vision behind this podcast is to help you understand how to navigate the gap and in the process, awaken to the life that is waiting for you. It starts now. Let's go. Hello, friends. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Let us begin together by taking 3 conscious breaths. So when you're ready, inhale, filling the belly, filling the ribs, filling the chest. Exhale with an audible sigh, releasing from your mouth, letting go. Again, inhale, filling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhale, releasing, letting go. And then one more time. Inhale, filling up, belly, ribs, and chest. Exhale, let it go. So in the last episode, 23, I gave you a practice called reflective writing. And the intention behind that process was to give you another tool to use as you explore, in particular, this area of relationships that I've been speaking about recently, and helping you to uncover maybe some patterns that you did not know you were aware of, with the intention, as always, of realizing maybe where we are sometimes sabotaging the actual situation that we are intending to create, right? So ego is an interesting thing, and it's something we could talk about forever, and it's something that I'm still learning and studying, and quite frankly, always probably will be, because that is just the nature of the ego. So as always, questions are welcome for that. So today, because it is the last Monday of 2019, wow, I wanted to give you the opportunity to have a year-end time to reflect. So something that I have found helpful over the years is when I get to the end of a calendar year, even though the month of December for many of us can be quite busy, I always take an opportunity, it's usually within the last few days of the month of December, where I take an opportunity to get cozy. I usually plan on spending about 45 minutes to 90 minutes, again, depending on my schedule, where I really want to take the chance to reflect and review my year. So I guess a year in review. And this is an offering that I'm going to be giving to you today. I'll talk you through how to do it. So if you're in a situation where you have pen and paper handy or some device and you want to take notes, do that. If not, then maybe just listen to it so you can absorb the words. And then when you are in a position to do it, and when you're ready to do it, you can listen to this again. So it's 3 parts. And the first part of the process is called connection. The second part is reflection. And the third part is direction, right? I don't know if I rhymed those on purpose, but anyway, so connection, reflection, and direction. So I'll explain each one. Right. So the first one about connection. So this is the first step in the process, as always, is to become aware, right? We want to be mindful. We want to put ourselves in a place and in a position where we can actually connect to the deeper aspect of ourselves. So not only that kind of superficial level of what I'm feeling and what's going on right now, but the opportunity to connect. So what's important about the space of connection is that you choose an environment that is nurturing for you, where you can have some quiet, where you can have some alone time. And again, I've suggested this in the past. If you're in the house and you can go into a room, maybe put some earplugs in or put some music in, close a door, ask for privacy. So figure out what that is, or it could be a public space, a library or a coffee shop, somewhere where you can go in public, but really connect to yourself. So do what you have to do to give yourself the environment that would be most supportive. And encourage you to also put yourself on DND, which is what I call do not disturb, meaning let the loved ones know that you're not going to be available for a set period of time, and disconnect from your device. I usually like to handwrite things. You might be writing something on a device. If you must do that, go for it. If not, I do encourage you to go back to old school pen and paper, and maybe even a journal for this exercise. So you start the connection by choosing the place, the space, by putting yourself on do not disturb, alerting people. And then once you find that space and you're in it, do some sort of a meditation. So if if you have a meditation practice, do it beforehand. If you're going into a public space, you can simply sit in stillness and allow your eyes just to be focused downward and take 10 to 20 breaths, right? So no one needs to know what you're doing. Again, maybe some soft music in your ears. And by 10 to 20 breaths, I mean a breath is an inhale followed by an exhale. So one breath would be inhale, and then exhale. So that's one complete breath. So if you're doing about 10 to 20 breaths, depending on your pace, it could take you a couple of minutes. So that's the connection space. So once you're connected to yourself, you're connected to your higher self, you're connected to your heart. The second place is reflection. And the way I like to categorize the areas of life is I use it based on how I laid it out in the book I wrote, Reclaiming Joy. Your 4-Step Guide to Happy, Healthy, and Free, which I know some of you have read or are reading. So in the book, I talk about the 4 key areas of life being health, relationships, also included in that is family, career or vocation, and life purpose, right? So health is pretty obvious, right? It's everything from our levels of stress to our weight to how we feel energetically, and then specifically to our eating patterns, our sleeping patterns, our movement patterns. So anything that is in the area of health is connected mainly to how we feel, how we show up, our energy. The second area of relationship, again, this can be the second area of relationship can be anything you choose to focus on, right? So some of us, it's could be the relationship with yourself, right? That's perfectly viable. Maybe it's relationships with partners, with parents, with children, with friends, with work. Usually it's our intimate relationships. So this includes all of that, friendships, family, community. So take it to where you need to go. Then the other area is our career or our vocation or our work. So some of us are in work situations, some of us are not. So whatever that career or vocation, it could be a hobby, looks like for you. So any ways in which you serve in the world, paid or not. And then the fourth area is life purpose. So this one, I haven't gotten into in too much detail over the course of this year in these podcasts, but life purpose is really connected to, I often call it the North Star, or the reason why I get up in the morning. So it's the reason why you think you're here. And again, if you're not sure of that and that's something that you want to explore, then this is a great opportunity to kind of start to get the wheels turning. So once you lay out the 4 key areas of life, health, relationship, career, and life purpose, then there are questions that you can ask. And I'll list those questions here. So the first one is, what am I proud of? So what do you feel this year as it relates? And allow this writing to be free form. So you can talk about each category at a time, or you can do all together, or you can be free form and just kind of notice what bubbles up when you say, what am I proud of? And this could be like immediately in your mind, you could be like, oh, I got that, great promotion at work, or I lost that 15 pounds, or I stopped drinking as much alcohol, or I, enrolled in a class. So whatever that is for you that you're most proud of. And it could be, 2 to 3 things, right? I would say try to get at least, definitely 1, and, up to 3 is awesome. More than 3, then I think we start to lose a little bit of focus. So that's the first question. What am I proud of? The next question is, what have I learned? What have I learned? And again, I don't want to give too much information here to influence you. I want this to be like an organic process for yourself. So again, taking it to probably one of the things that you're proud of, I suspect that if it's something that you accomplished, then there were things along the way that you learned, maybe challenges and obstacles that arose that enabled you to perhaps access a part of yourself that you didn't know you had. So anything that you feel like you learned. Also, there's something I do want to say about the learning is oftentimes we learn not only skills, but sometimes we also learn about our values and what we thought was important wasn't, and vice versa. So allow this to be anything that resonates as you go through this process. There's no right or wrong, so hold judgment. And if an answer comes that doesn't sound like, oh, is that exactly the question? Don't worry about that. So I want to just remind you of that. And the next one is, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? What was challenging? And then where are opportunities for growth? So this, again, is the part of reflection. So this is looking back on the year 2019, keeping focused on this year, okay, and asking those questions. So what am I proud of? What have I learned? What am I grateful for? What was challenging? And where are the growth opportunities? The third step is what I call direction. So once you have given yourself ample time to answer these questions, to reflect on them, the next part, this direction, the third piece, is based on what you have realized in this reflective exercise. In 2020, the question is, what are you now committed to creating in your life, right? So you have the opportunity to reflect on what has been, to get some information, get some wisdom, and then to ask yourself, what am I really committed to creating in 2020? And I would even say, when you answer that question, you think about, what am I committed to creating 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Because when you start to really look a little bit beyond a year, what ends up happening, in my experience, is that you're able to make action, choices, decisions sooner, right? So if you know that you have a plan, let's say in 2 years to buy a house, well, what are you going to do in 2020 if you haven't already? You're probably going to start saving. You're going to start researching. So it's nice to have present moment things that we can do within the year time frame, and also casting a net out. And it also helps to I think, keep us moving on more of the challenging days when we have something that we're working toward. So I'm going to break down this question, unpack it a little bit. What am I committed to creating a little bit more? Because for some of you, that might sound a little lofty. So another way to say that is, what do you want? What do you want more of in your life? What do you want to create? So the difference, as I've said before, between creation and change is that when you create something, you're starting new, right? Sometimes we spend so much energy on trying to change something that we don't have enough energy to then actually manifest what we want. So thinking about it in this way of, what is it that I want to create? Maybe it's loving relationships. Maybe it's you want to create a foundation, a nonprofit foundation, or something that, really pulls on your dreams and your heart and your life purpose. So don't be afraid to make it big. Dream big. And then the other question you want to ask yourself as you go through this, what am I committed to creating, is what support will I need? What support will I need, right? So maybe it's you need to receive some sort of training and skills, gain some more experience. Maybe you're going to decide to work with a coach. Maybe you're going to read some books. So it's important that you recognize and get clear on the support that you will need. And then who is going to keep you accountable? So all of us, no matter what you're trying to accomplish in life, at some point need to have someone who's going to hold us accountable, because part of the human condition is that we sometimes veer off the path, right? Intentionally or unintentionally, it just happens. So knowing that from the get-go is important, because then you can create a plan for yourself. So clearly, these are significant questions for those of us who really want to commit, right? And I encourage you to choose simply one area of your life where you're going to focus. So this isn't about looking at, 5 different things. It's about saying, okay, what's really the one thing, the one area of my life? Maybe it's the area of relationships, since I know that's a popular one. So maybe you're created to committing positive, peaceful, playful, prosperous relationships with people who are present. Maybe that's something that you're created to committing, or maybe you're at a point in your life where you're committed to creating a closer bond with family or friends or community. Maybe you're going to create a center for people to come together, or maybe you're going to decide that you want your home to be that center. So you decide, and that's the beautiful part of this process, is that when you give yourself the gift of time to reflect, you also give yourself the space to then create, right? So we need space and we need time in order to create. We cannot create anything lasting if we're in reactive mode, right? So we want to be able to take the time to plan, because this is your life, right? This is your life. So many people will take time to plan a vacation, yet when it comes to life, they don't give themselves a sort of like a map. And I feel like a lot of times these reflection practices and these questions and this podcast is really designed to help you ask those questions. And even if you don't have the answer today, over time, what you'll see is that you will live your way into the answers, that you will receive the information and the wisdom, and that you will receive the resources that you need. So allow this process to be one that's enjoyable and nourishing, again, with compassion and love and forgiveness and kindness towards yourself. Important. And before I close, I want to say one thing about the word commitment. I shared this previously, is that in order for us to be successful in life, we have to take a stand and we have to be committed to something. And often when we can commit to something that's larger than ourselves, we are motivated. So this commitment is really you giving your word to yourself. You standing on something that you really want to bring into the world and going for it. Getting the support that you need, researching what do you need to do, exploring. So this word commitment is a serious word. So if you're not ready to commit to that thing, then choose something else. So this is also an exercise in knowing that anything we do in life where we want to be successful, we put in effort and it requires discipline. So if we're not excited about the commitment on the harder days, it's most likely we're not going to be committed. And commitment isn't a gray area. This is something I'm committed to, period, no matter what. It doesn't mean that the path might change. It means that you show up, And if you do discover that the thing that you are committed to is no longer the thing, then you commit to something else. So remember that your commitment is your word, and that you are the creator, and that what you think, you create. And what you create, you become. So enjoy the process. Stay positive. Thank you for listening to this podcast. As always, share your reflections with me, Stephanie@BronxForWellness.com. Hit me up on social media. Share with me. Know that you're loved. Know that you're supported. Know that you are worthy. And have a great rest of your year. Let's go. If you find this podcast helpful, and if it provokes you in any way, meaning you love what I have to say, or maybe you don't like it because it triggers you, awesome. I've moved something in you, and perhaps you will want to share this with someone else in your life who might be interested in being moved. So you can find us on Apple, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. And as always, feel free to share links with people you love, because remember, we are in relationship with each other. So the more that you are present and you invite other people on the journey, the more peaceful world we will live in, because we will be together understanding these concepts. So I thank you for your support, and you help us keep the show going by sharing it, by liking it, by giving us reviews, and helping us to grow. Thank you.